if you're working and exchanging time, which is the most valuable resource that you have for an imaginary piece of money that anybody can make or anybody can print out of it. Imagine being so stupid that somebody's out there printing money. Somebody's printing money, and on the counter, you're working for it, and then you're getting taxed because they need your taxes in order to run the government when they could just print it. It makes no sense whatsoever. So stop working for money. Stop working for a paycheck. Start working towards a life that instills freedom and instills your ability to produce money without you having to work. Now, that may sound like insane for 99% of people. So where do you start? You start by not spending, right? You start by not being a consumer, but being a producer. So most people are consumers. That's why they're always in the rat race. If you're producing, you're always being able to generate income, but you don't want to be producing just with your time. You want to be producing with systems. Now you have AI, now you have automation, now you have software. Dude, you can literally be making money while you sleep. And if you think that's not real, look at all the digital companies that are running. They're making money while the owners are sleeping.
One, I think, limitation that people have sometimes when they start making money, they just end up blowing it, right? But you've really focused on that multiplication, the systems, the processes, which I've been trying to stay very abide by. Why do you think people get caught at that threshold? And like, what are the ways you've been looking at scaling digital businesses so that you're able to continue growing? So
most people, let's say they have $100,000 in the bank account. They want to show off that they have $100,000 in the bank account. People that have $1 million in the bank account, they want to show off that they got $1 million. I don't want to show off. I don't give a fuck. I know what I have. I know what I'm worth. I know what my companies are worth. I know what my companies produce. I don't have to show it to anybody. I don't have to prove it to anybody. I just have to continue operating and understanding that I don't want to spend the initial capital that required time. Because I tell people, you don't buy things. Listen to me. You don't buy things with money. You buy things with the amount of time that it takes you to get that money. So for example, and I say it quite often, if you and I were to walk into a Louis Vuitton store with somebody that works at a McDonald's, they would look at that $500 wallet a lot more expensive than you and I would. Why? Because they think, oh, wow, $500? That took me how many hours of work?
A week.
Wow, that's expensive. For us, oh, well, you just make a couple bucks here and there, have it in some sort of automation. You don't value the $500 because it didn't take you a lot of time. So what you need to do is safeguard your time and understand that the time that you input is designed to liberate you, not for you to spend it liberating another person.
How do you build those systems? So you focus on e-commerce, but you've done other stuff now with Capital Club. What's your philosophy, first principle philosophy of how you're building out systems that are generating you revenue long into the future?
So there's two things that you need to focus on in business. There's income producing tasks and risk mitigation tasks. So your risk mitigation tasks in business are your customer service representatives, your accounting, your budgeting, things that you can actually delegate or offsource or onboard somebody to take on. Then you have your income producing tasks, right? These are your sales. This is your marketing, the hands-on that actually generates money. Your goal is to, as soon as possible, anytime, whether you're reselling sneakers or whether you run a Forbes 500 company, your job is to not do the things that somebody else can do for you, right? So if you're flipping sneakers, go have a runner. Oh yeah, but I won't make as much money. Yeah, but you get to save time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but why don't you value your time? Because you're not doing anything productive with that time. I get to hang out with the people that I love. I get to go out and go for walks. I get to biohack. I get to travel, and I'll pay somebody or give them a slice of the pie so that I don't have to do it. So as soon as you get started in your entrepreneurial journey, the first thing you need to do is start onboarding people that can take care of these risk mitigation tasks. Like, why are you answering customer service emails when you can hire somebody from the Philippines for $350, $400 a month, which is a good salary there, base entry level salary, to do it for you. They'll be happy, they'll be chilling, and now you have time to focus on what? Income producing tasks. And not even going deep into systems and operations, that's the first part. The second part is your KPIs, your key performance indicators, right? You need to know where you're going. Like, what's your objective? Most people want a fancy business in order to make money. Most people would say, oh, I'm going to build the next Uber. Dude, if your goal is to make money, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to make money. If your goal is to become free, then why are you going to build a SaaS business that has tens of investors that you have to pick up the phone and be accountable to?
Yeah.
That's not freedom.
100%.
That's not freedom. And we see it rinse and repeat. I'll give you an example, which was a crazy one. Loom. Do you know the company Loom?
Yeah.
They're the
Always
screen
use them.
recording company.
They just sold, right?
They just sold. And everybody's like, oh, they sold for $950 million. Go look at the faces of the founders and go look at the tweets that they were putting out, because they raised a ton of money. They didn't own a massive percentage of their company, and they slaved their motherfucking lives away for what? A couple $1 million paycheck? A lot of them said it wasn't worth it.
All right, people, we're just going to take one short little break for a little update about Podcast University. So if you enjoy podcasts like this and you want to start your own podcast, head down to the links down below to Podcast University. This is a learning platform that I've built to help people like you build, launch, and scale your own podcast. I wasted many years doing this, making it all up as I go. So I put everything together in a very seamless and easy to follow course for you guys to follow and just learn exactly how to do it. So if you want to bypass a lot of the mess with your podcast, check out the links down below to Podcast University, and it will show you exactly how to launch and scale your own podcast.
One of my friends, I won't mention his name, but he raised a ton of money, around 20 million, built a really big product that kind of caught the wave before the tightening of the economy the past couple of years. And he basically lost his head in the process. So ran out of money, business closed down. And when I speak to him, he said a lot of his VC friends, or a lot of his friends who've raised money from VCs, they all say, you'll be lucky if you get out with your head, because most of you will lose your head, you'll lose everything around you. Now, people cheer when you raise the money, and they cheer at the launch parties, but they're not there for you at the end, right?
Bro, there's nothing to cheer when you raise money. Bro, you're raising money.
It's someone else's money.
It's somebody else's money that's there. That person is investing into you as the mule, as the vehicle for them to multiply it. How do you get to the place where you're investing? That's why now I'm focused on private equity, venture capital. I have my fund. Why? Because I'm going to invest into hustlers, people I want to elevate, people in my community that are actually going to put in the grunt work and the hours. I'll be damned if I go fucking raise money out there to be some bitch boy slave to some white collar suit motherfucker in Wall Street that is going to call me and ask me for my quarterly reportings. Fuck that shit.
And it even happens.
Bro, I'll live under a bridge before I do that shit. No chance. That's back to slavery, dude. That's back to being golden handcuffs.
100%.
Fuck that.
But over the past couple of years, that was considered the proper path to build a billion-dollar company.
That was considered the proper path by who?
I know, but that was when a lot of VC money was flowing. People were like, go raise cash. And I was actually in that scenario. Met someone here in Singapore. I used to live here for the last couple of years. And someone was like, if you have a slide deck, we can bring it to a VC and we can raise you a bunch of money. And just something deep down didn't seem right at the time. And I was going to build a financial product. And I was like, it just doesn't feel aligned to what I want to do. And thank fuck I didn't take the cash, because 2 years later, 90% of startups are
dead.
Yeah.
Dead, obsolete, dude. It's crazy. And like you said, people lose their fucking mind in the process.
100%.
And I'm not about it, because the entire purpose of entrepreneurship is freedom.
Question for you of that. Do you think entrepreneurship can also be a matrix? Because if you consider when people start making money, they go to Dubai, they go to Miami, they get the Rolex, they get the chicks. Do you think that's a philosophy?
I mean, that's not entrepreneurship. That's lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's lifestyle bondage. Right. So you determine what you do with that money, you determine what you do with your finances, and you determine what you do with your decisions. So people are a slave to lifestyle of what somebody else has told them equals successful entrepreneurship. That's why, I create content. You won't ever see my cars. You won't ever see. Why? Because I don't think that dictates successful entrepreneurship. To me, entrepreneurship is I work for myself, or I work in a conglomerate with a group of individuals. I set my own rules. I determine my own path, and I work at it every single day. And dude, I've been an entrepreneur with $200 in a suitcase. I was an entrepreneur fucking pressure washing basketball courts. It was just the steps that I needed to take in order to be where I am today. And it's the mindset, right? It's the mindset. It's not the bank account that matters, because you can have a ton of money and end up looking like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not about that, brother.
Or Elon Musk.
I like Elon, bro. But at the same time, I'm a little bit tied up with Elon, bro. I'm a little bit on dual sides because he puts out hella good products, but at the same time, motherfucker controls everything. Scary, bro.
How do you think that's going to play out? Because Neuralink is backed by the government.
Did you see the new Obama produced movie? What was it called?
Oh man, I try to stay as far out from this shit as possible.
What was that? Would you guys know what it was called? It was crazy. It was Leave the World Behind, and it's apparently about this future dystopian scenario where there's a cyber attack and the entire power grid gets turned off, right? So who owns the power grid for the standard electrical charging EVs? Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns the alternative internet or alternative satellites? Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
Elon. Who owns the social media platform, the alternative social media platform? Elon. Who owns the chip that they want to implant into your brain and the AI? Elon. So he has the alternative kind of ecosystem that's being built. Perfect scenario if in the future there is some sort of power grid disruption, which most experts are saying that is absolutely plausible.
Well, everything's possible, right?
If it's possible, it's probable.
We talked a lot about information and information diet and having the right information diet, what comes in your brain. I want to talk about actual diet. So you were a vegan for a year.
Yeah.
Talk me through that experience.
It was great. I'll be frank. I was living in a life where I was eating a ton of seed oils, processed foods, garbage, and going through a raw vegan diet. What it did is it instilled self-regulation. So what it helped me do is start having more connection with my food. Right. So understanding, why is it that I eat this? How does it make me feel? What are the pros and cons about it? Now, I wasn't able to sustain it. I think that there's a potentiality where the vegan diet is or could be a superior diet. There's plenty of studies validating it, but obviously this is one of these arguments that are eternal. But I had a great experience on it. I ended up losing a ton of weight because I didn't maintain to a super specific vegan diet. So I went back to a grass-fed meat diet, and I feel great. But it kind of helped me break out of the food matrix because it made me more conscientious as to what I was eating.
My kind of perspective on diet sometimes is if someone goes from no diet, so let's say you're eating fucking trashy food, McDonald's, to having any structured diet, so whether it's keto, vegan, carnivore, it's going to be an improvement.
Yes.
It's not an optimization, but it's just an improvement, right? It's like
even at the mental level, right? Even at the mental level, because it allows you to start building these filtration systems for food. You start checking the ingredients. Well, what the fuck is red 40 tint? What is this Chinese chemical that they're putting in my food? Well, it's poison. Okay, well, what are processed industrialized seed oils, and what is it doing to inflammation and cholesterol? Oh, well, let me look into that. Well, I have none of this on my plant-based raw food diet. So now I start feeling really good. I'm like, oh, whoa, I don't have brain fog anymore. So maybe I'm not stupid. Maybe I don't have ADHD. Maybe I'm just poisoned. And the rabbit trail begins once again. So it's about instilling the self-regulation that we talked about and now being more conscientious towards your decision-making process. At the same time, you don't want to go into the vegan diet, which is why I said the raw vegan diet, where you're out here eating the Impossible Burger, which is basically industrialized processed seed oils packaged and isn't really food.
Did you have any supplementation with that, whether it's tablet or even like powders, for instance?
I didn't do any supplementation at that time, simply because I try to avoid any sort of supplements that are unnatural.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's your take on supplements?
They're great, depending on which ones you take.
And in terms of like the sources of where they come from?
Yeah,
like
you need to study the sources of the supplements. Ideally, if you're going to be taking supplements, I would recommend creatine monohydrate as kind of like one of these building blocks. Magnesium, if you have a hard time sleeping, magnesium is super good for you. And I try to keep it light on the supplements. I want to make sure that I'm getting most of my food and nutrients from the food that I eat. But with that, you also have the bullshit and the psyops of them controlling the food. And when you have industrialized kind of food production, you also lose a lot of the nutrient dense kind of properties of the food. So the food doesn't taste the same. There's a reason why you eat inorganic fruit and it tastes like shit and it tastes like gross. It's because it's not really fruit. It's just industrialized, chemicalized, genetically modified food. And I think that most people overeat, most people eat shit, most people think that something's wrong with them when in reality they're just poisoned. And once you begin to break from a couple of these habits, you begin to realize, oh, this is a better life. And then you realize that food isn't only used to keep you stupid, but it's also an addiction, right? So why wouldn't big food companies want to create addicting factors or addicting properties to your food so that they keep you hooked? I mean, look at, not going into crazy conspiracies, but look at Kobe Bryant, right? When his helicopter crashed, which is crazy to think about, he was actually in the middle of a lawsuit. He was about to start to testify against the supplement brand that he had partnered with because they had found traces of methamphetamines inside the pre-workout. It's just to hook motherfuckers, right? So
Fucking hell.
he died, but I don't know if he died for that. Who knows, right? Maybe the 20-year pilot just lost experience that one day, it just made no sense. But they're poisoning your food, not only to fuck you, but also to keep you in the rat race of addiction.